In your case, you have people that you're connected with there that I think will help. What I want to highlight is what the 1001 worshiping communities in the Presbyterian Church.
This initiative they started a couple years back.
Exactly. To develop 1001 new worshiping communities in the United States over the next period of years. These are the expectations of people who do that. Seeking to make and form new disciples of Jesus Christ, taking on varied forms of church for our changing culture, gathered by the Spirit to meet Jesus Christ in word and sacrament, sent by the Spirit to join God's mission for the transformation of the world, practicing mutual care and accountability, and finally, developing sustainability in leadership and finances. So, if you look at that, for example, once a month, it's a great summary of a new worshiping community. It's not really different than that of a church. Okay? New disciples, word and sacrament, transforming the word, practicing accountability, sustainable leadership and finances. You know, that really is a church. The question is, you know, how are you doing with that? And I think if you think of the four corners, it'll help ensure some ongoing health for you. My question is this, and I don't know that we've touched on it. Why is it you want to start a church, knowing that it's a crazy challenge? I didn't give you a heads up that I was going to ask that question. No. I'm not going to be the last person to ask you that.
Yeah.
So I think you need to come to terms with that. I'll have a bite of popcorn while you think about it.
I think partly it's because for my own personal journey, I've always been trying to fit into a model that already exists, like a tall steeple model or a small suburban church or a Hispanic church or all these different models I've tried to fit in, and it hasn't been feeding my soul. Not because they're necessarily wrong. They don't have to be wrong for me to be right. It just didn't feel right. So I think partly in meeting you, to be honest, I thought, what if in starting a church, I could find a space where I could also feed my soul and do ministry. I think that's probably the number one driver. I think closely related to that is maybe a more negative thing, is my personality is I'm an evaluator. I'm naturally critical. So I'm always thinking, how can something be better? And I think in the things, and maybe it's better for people like me. Maybe it's not better in general, but just better for people like me that want to ask questions about faith, that want to be creative, that kind of want to, they don't exactly want to have church as usual. I just want to reimagine church with other people that would want to reimagine church with me. I think that's probably those are the top two reasons I would want to start one. I think it's taken a long time for me to get there. I think I wouldn't have said that a couple of years ago. I would have said, I don't want to be another cool minister who's going to start a, cool church. I don't want to do it just because it's cool. I want to do it because it's faithful to who I am and to who I think God's calling me to be.
I think that's an awesome answer. And my sense is of our sisters and brothers who are in the church, they go to seminary, they go to college, they go to seminary, they have church experience in their background, and then they go out into the church world with these values and these experiences, and then they come up against a church and a culture that's been in existence for anywhere from a few years to several hundred years. And so often the culture and the pastor butt heads.
Yeah.
And the church culture desperately tries to hang on to their values and how they do church, and the new pastor with ideas and energy about how they want to do church. And so much time and energy is that jockeying back and forth. And it's a really tough call. And I have a number of friends, and I'm sure you do too, that just feel beat up by that and ask the question, what's happening to my life and what's happening to my faith and all I want to do was serve God and serve God's people. Yet I feel like I'm not being true to who I am. And what I hear you saying is, I need to be true to who I am and my personality and how I'm wired and how I'm made. And to do that, based on what I know at this point in my life, a new worshiping community or new church is the best way to do that. And for me, that was exactly true as well. I had tall steeple church experience. I had struggling suburban church experience, and both were incredibly valuable. And I learned a lot at all those places. But when it's all said and done, this is just what I felt called to do and to be. And I think starting a church is absolutely a unique calling, but it's not even close to the experiences I've had previously. It's more difficult than anything I've ever done, infinitely more rewarding. And so I wish you the best.
I appreciate that, Tom. And as a perfect segue, in the next episode, I'd love to ask you, since we sort of touched on it, what is church?